Hi, this is Mike, WB4HUC, and this is the fourth video in a series of videos where I describe or demonstrate a particular feature of the logic logging software. And this video is going to be about customizing log forms. So uh, I don't know again if any other software lets you do this, but it's a really handy feature for me. I like it a lot because you can make up log forms for just about anything you want, different contests or operating events or whatever. And the software has a contest mode where it will correctly calculate multipliers and correctly record the scores for each contact, that kind of thing. So this weekend is the ARRL DX sideband contest. I'm not a big DXer, but I thought I'm kind of closing in a little bit on DXCC, so I thought I might operate in the contest just to see if I could pick up some new countries. So there is a log form in here for that contest. Thing is, I screwed it up when I was trying to modify it. So if I go into forms and I go to log, and this is my normal log form. Nope, that's not it. It automatically selects the form that I want when I start the software. Okay, so this is my normal log form, and this log form, if it's not the original, it's very close to it. So you can see these are quite a bit different. I've changed the background color here. I've moved fields around. I've taken out fields that I don't want, and I've added fields that I do want. So that's what this video is kind of going to be about. It's not going to be a real tutorial on how to do it, but just a demonstration of what you can do. A tutorial will probably be an hour-long video, and who wants to sit through that? So um, I'm going to open the ARRLDX for W and VE. So this is what the form looks like now. This is not what it looked like originally. Like I say, I messed it up. I accidentally set it to the default log form and shouldn't have done that. And the other thing I didn't do was copy this log form somewhere and save it before I changed it, right? That's what we're supposed to do. Before you make a change, you make a backup, and I didn't do that. So I'm going to bring up the ARRLDX for non-W and VE, and that one you can see is much simpler. So what I'm going to do is modify this form to sort of put fields in the order that this one has, and then but reduce the number of fields and put only the fields that I really need or want for this form. So, and you can do that. You can take fields off the form, you can put fields on the form, and you can rearrange them however you like. So the way you do that is down here, you click this, it says push to unlock form. So I'm going to do that. It flashed up here, form layout unlocked, and then moved, it moved the form up here, which I didn't really want to do, but let's move it right here. So first thing I want to do is uh, remove fields that I don't want. So you got this little trash can here that says drag a control here to hide, click here to unhide. So if you want to unhide a field and put it back on here, you just go down through the list, you click on the one that you want to unhide, say OK, and it'll put it back on the form. But that's not what we're going to do. So let's start. I don't use EQSL, so I can hide these fields. Now you have the form and then you have the label, so you can see, or the field and then the label. So you can see I moved the field, now I need to move the label. And then if we go back and bring this up, we should see here's label EQSL that wasn't there before. And then there should be text EQSL. So those weren't in there when we brought this up just a moment ago. So GQSL, I'm going to move, and the label, I'm going to move. Uh, Regular QSL, I won't be sending or receiving cards for this, so we'll just take that off. I don't need to track paper cards for these. If the station's logged through Logbook of the World, that's how I'll do the confirm the contacts. If not, then they just won't be confirmed. Um, what else? I don't need grid square. And RX power, of course, is the other stations. And here we have RST and RSR. So I'm just going to swap labels. So I'm going to take these labels and hide these labels. And then I'm going to put RST sent. Yeah. And then RST received. And then let's get rid of these fields. So we don't need state. For DX stations, we don't need the state label. So you can see where this is going. I'm removing fields that I don't really need for the contest, and then I'll put some back in here. So what do we want to put back in? I want to put back in the rig and the antenna, and those are user-defined fields. They didn't exist before I added them, so I don't remember which. Okay, so it says rig is user 5 and bazooka is user 4. And that's on this form. And each form has its own list of user-defined fields. So for this form, I have, let's go click it. So here you can see I have all of these user-defined fields defined for this particular form. So let's look at the user-defined fields for this form, which there are only, well, here they are. So we got power, RST sent, received, rig, and antenna. So I want to move these user-defined fields onto this log form. So to do that, I go back up here to the hidden fields, and it's user 4 and user 5. So let's move the field and unhide it. And this is the rig. And then let's do field user 5 and unhide. That's the antenna. Now we need to find the labels. And I know they're in here. Okay. I don't see them. And I don't know why. Well, I'll deal with that later. But here's the rig and antenna, so I got to move them somewhere. So for now, I'll just move them down here. And I need to find where the labels went. They were on the screen before, I think, and then I got rid of them, but I don't know what I did with them. Uh, anyway, so that's how that works. And it doesn't have to be a user-defined field. You can put, I think, any field on here that's defined in the fields database. So via, I don't need to QSL via anything because if it's not Logbook of the World, I won't do it. Now RST sent and received down here are side by side under, so I'm going to move these just to kind of make them look similar to my normal log form because that's what I'm used to. DXCC we can put up here, And here are the labels for rig and antenna. They were already on the form. So I can say rig, uh, so I can say rig, and I can say antenna. Now, obviously, I'm not going to leave this way. Um, I'm going to tighten all this up, shrink the form down a little bit, because if I close it, it's still pretty tall, and you know. So I'm gonna tighten all this up. I'm gonna pause the video, and I'm going to finish this form up, and then show you what it looks like after I'm done. One more thing, moving these things around with the mouse, you can kind of get them in the ballpark, right? But what if you want to line these up on the left edge? You want to line these up on the left edge, that kind of thing. Maybe you want to put less spacing in between the fields. You can see over here they're pretty close. Well, how do you do that? So you can make a fine adjustment here. So let's look at RX Power. Let's move him over. So if we right click, it brings up this control properties window. Then you have top and left. So if I move, watch this field move. If I move the left position, or even if I click this thing here, it'll move it. And then I can say OK. And let's say I wanted to line this one up with it. So I can move this over. I can move it up if I want to move it a little bit closer to this one. So I'm going to make all these little fine tuning adjustments, and then I'll come back and show you what I've done with the form. But this is the basic process for how to modify your logging form to whatever you want it to be. I haven't changed the background color. I might do that, but if I do, I can't remember how to do it. If I do, I'll figure out how to do it, and I'll show you that, and we'll look at the form. So anyway, just stand by, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so this little exercise probably took me, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes, because this is where it gets tedious, is arranging all the fields like you want them, and you know, uh, moving them around and putting them like you want them and whatnot. Now there's two other things. You can see the background color now is a light blue. So to do that, in here in the body of the form somewhere, you just right click and say form properties, and then you can say background, and then you can say define custom colors. So you can see this color is up here, and I clicked it and put it into one of my custom colors. So that's how I did that. And you can also paste a picture in here if you watched. I'm not sure what the uh, attributes of the picture have to be. If they're PNG or JPEGs, I'm sure they have to be small. Uh, but to me, that'd just be distracting. I prefer a plain light colored background, but you can do whatever you like. And then the other thing we need to do is there's the tab order of these fields. So if we unlock the form, and then you see here, change tab order. So what is the first field we want it to be on? Probably uh, call sign. Here we go. So we just move him to the top. And then the next field when I hit the tab key, the next field I want to go to is the RX power, so I can enter that information in. So we'll click here, we'll move RX power, and then the third field that I would want it to go to is probably rig, although uh, that's going to be filled in automatically. So let's see if that works. So lock the form. So I'm going to enter a new contact. So, okay, so our cursor is here. I'll just enter my own call sign for now. And then if we hit tab, yes. And then RX power. So when the other DX station gives me its power, I can type that in. And then when I tab, it'll go down to rig. I can select my rig. I can select my antenna. And I'm done. But really, and then LOTW, uh, but really I'm done after I enter the RX power. And the reason I say that is one of the other things you can do is, let's delete this. One of the other things you can do is go into setup and set defaults for the fields. So the field for RST RST sent, well, both of these. It's going to be 599, right? That's what everybody tells everybody. And then we're going to say RST received will also be 59. I guess this is a phone contest, so that really ought to be 59. And then default value for LOTW is going to be R for requested. And then the default for rig, well, let's do for antenna. Probably, well, we're going to stick a default in here, although it depends on what band we're on. So I'll just say, no, I can't do that. If you don't spell it right, it won't show up. So just for the example, I'll say 40 meter double bazooka. Although for DX contest, during the day, I'd probably be on 20 meters. And then for rig, we'll say, so let's enter another, yes. So then RX power, we can say, who knows? But you can see we've defaulted to the rig we told it to, the antenna we told it to, the RST that we told it to. It didn't default the LOTW, but that's probably because I picked the wrong field name. I defined a couple of user-defined fields. Anyway, I'll fix that. But the point being that uh, After we enter the call sign, we want to skip here to enter their power, and then we want everything else to default. Of course, the frequency and the mode will come from the radio, and I'm not sure why my radio's in digital mode right now, but anyway, we'll fix all that, or we can default the mode, you know. In any case, that's it. So once I start using this thing, uh, once I start using this thing, then the only thing I have to enter is the RX power, and I should be done. And I'll fix this field so that it selects the value that I want. And that's pretty much it. So this thing's gone on for like 20 minutes. That's probably long enough. But the point I wanted to make is just you can create your own log forms, you can modify log forms, you can uh, define user-defined fields for information. This is for reporting. So maybe I want a report of how many contacts I made on this radio versus how many contacts on a different radio or antennas or whatever. Um, uh, but that's about it. So again, this is pretty easy to do. It's tedious, it's time consuming, but it's pretty easy to do. And so that might give you some ideas if you're a Logic user. Anyway, again, I guess this ties this one up. So again, I appreciate you watching, and I hope you enjoyed.